New York Mets fans, is Tommy Pham enough? Is that enough as far as our offense is concerned? Um, does it leave you worrying about this offense a little bit? Mainly because we had a chance to get Carlos Carrera. We had Carlos Carrera. We just didn't have Carlos Carrera, right? Does it leave a bad taste in your mouth? And now do you feel there's an empty hole in this lineup when we already felt like we was going to have the best lineup in baseball, but then now that's been taken away from us? Is Tommy Pham enough to heal that wound that you got from Carlos Carrera? Let's break down his team, our lineup, pretty much what this team is going to be, okay? So we're not going to get into the pitching staff because that's a whole nother ball game. Let's talk about just the hidden and our lineup, all right? So I have a question. Do we need more or is this enough, okay? Now, mind you, when we break down the hidden of this team, we also have to talk about the minor league players and potential players that could come up. So let's start with our position players, okay? We're looking at a potential lineup of Nemo leading off once again this year, which was great. We re-signed him for 8 years. Playing center field with Sterling Marte, who I love to be in the top of this lineup. Batting second, playing right field. Lindor third again. Shortstop, first base is going to be Alonso, and he could be a potential MVP candidate this year, especially if he gets some type of protection behind him at first base. Fifth now is where you start tinkering with the lineup a little bit because 1 through 4 is actually solidified. But now you have the potential of putting either the batting champion Jeff McNeil at second base, who has limited power, maybe 10 home run power, maybe, and still bat over 300, 315, over 320. If he only gives you 10 home runs. But if he decides to get pull happy again and get power happy again and hit you that 20 home runs because he's batting fifth now, his average drops down to 300 or 280. Which one of McNeil do you prefer? Is him hitting 10 home runs and batting 320 enough protection for Alonso? Or is him hitting 20 to 25 home runs but batting 280 enough protection for Alonso? You make the call on that one. Let me know down below in the comments. If you don't want to bat him fifth, you want to drop him a little bit lower so he doesn't have the pressure of being that protection for Alonso and bat him maybe sixth and put the DH there. Now, the DH is a platoon because I'm not looking, let's get rid of Darren Ruff. If you have to DFA him, I'm fine with that. If you could trade him, I'm even more ecstatic about that. However, the platoon is going to be Vogelback and Pham at the end of the day. Do you want to have them batting fifth, right, to protect them? Can you pitch around Alonso now because you feel you could pitch to Vogelback and Pham? Now, Vogelback might be a 250 hitter. However, he walks enough where he could be a 400 on-base percentage type guy. Potentially, with him giving you 300 at bats, maybe give you 15 home runs. Maybe driving 60, 55 to 60 runs. But he's a slug on the bases. Sorry. Gotta press that. He's a slug on the bases. With him being a slug on the bases, now, does that warrant you batting him fifth, or do you want to bat him a little bit lower? Now, he's only going to pitch. He's only going to hit against right-handed pitchers. On the left side of the platoon, meaning the right-handed batter hitting against left-handed pitching, Tommy Pham now. Now, Pham's not only going to be the right-handed DH, he's also going to be the fourth outfielder. He's also going to be in times when Marte, because Marte only plays about 120 to 130 games a year. So he's going to miss 20 to 30 games on average. Pham's going to be there. He's going to play center field. He's going to play left field. He kind of has weird splits where he hits right-handers better than he hit lefties. Maybe you have Pham in there on days when lefties are pitching, right? Maybe you have him in left field instead of Canna. So you have that option right there. Pham now, we're getting anywhere because he's going to have that extra playing time because more than Vogelback, where Vogelback's going to be relegated to 300 at bats, and Pham's probably going to get 400 at bats, maybe 450, because he's going to play the outfield on many days, many occasions. Pham's production now should roughly be around the same thing where he's getting 15 because he got 17 last year with over 500 at bats. His exit velo was very high last year. It was in the higher percentile. Don't have the accurate numbers in front of me. But his hard hit rate is still high for a person that's 35 years old. He's still going to hit the ball hard out the infield. He's still going to hit the ball hard to the outfield. He's still going to drive the ball, right? Do you prefer having him batting fifth and then dropping McNeil down where McNeil's protection? For Pham now is less pressure on McNeil having to beat a home run hitter. That's my dog in the background. Don't even worry about that there. She's playing or whatever. You could have him batting fifth, Vogelback and Pham batting fifth, McNeil batting sixth. This lengthens the lineup, makes the lineup longer, where now you have Escobar, who's a switch hitter, potentially platooning with Beatty. This takes less pressure off of Beatty now. If Beatty's hitting against the right-handers, Escobar hitting against the left-handers, right? Because that was Escobar's strength last year. He hit better against the left-handers. If you have Escobar, who's a switch hitter, you have them batting seventh. That's great production down there in the seventh hole. Now, if Beatty doesn't start the season on the main roster and it's Escobar getting the primary at-bats at third base, and say potentially Escobar gives you 450 to 500 at bats, that's 20 home runs you're getting there from the seventh spot. A person hit around 250, maybe 245 if he has an off year, maybe even as low as 230, 235, right? But he's going to drive in 60-something runs, maybe 70 runs if he gets 450 at bats. We don't know what we get out of Beatty because we don't have a history of him in the major league to say, all right, this is what he'll get with you potentially. But there is potential there in his bat. There is a lot of boom there in his bat that he will be a good major league hitter and put bat in the seventh hole where there's less pressure. There is protection behind him at 8, where you have Cannon now and potentially Pham, where I'm saying they're platooning in left field because, like I said, even though they're both right-handers, there still could be a platoon because Cannon's splits were opposite. He had opposite splits where he hits better against right-handers than he did against left-handers, whereas Pham eats left-handed hitting. So maybe you could play Cannon against the right-handers and Pham against the left-handers, right? Also, a good thing about that, defensive-wise, Pham has a better arm than Cannon does in left field. So now, you can either have Pham at the 5th or the 8th. And his value now at the 8 is strong and lengthens that lineup up even more. If you have Vogelback batting 5th that day and, they're playing the two of them or whatever. So I like that, all right? Now, the question in this video, was Pham enough? Now, let's get to number 9, right? Just keep that in mind. Let's get to number 9. The catching position, which was a dark hole in our lineup last year. Be it at that 9 or 8 or wherever they had McCann, Nito, and when Alvarez came up at the last few weeks of the regular season. My dog's about to bark right now because she's knows I'm recording, so she likes to bark. And she's growling at the elevator because I live right next to the elevator, right? Number 9 is Omar Narvaez, right? And he's brought in here for his defensive prowess. He's great framer and whatever. But he had an all-star season 2 years ago, batting left-handed. He's going to be part of the left-handed, right-hand platoon with Nito, who just signed for 2 years. You need to not bark. You guys need to not bark while I'm doing the Mets video. I know you're all big Mets fans, but you need not to bark, okay? Omar Narvaez, batting left-handed, didn't have a great season last year. However, we know 2 years ago he can have a good season, have an all-star caliber season at catcher, and hit for enough power in the 9 hole where he's going to hit you 10 to 15 home runs. And that's all we're asking for. As long as he drives in 60 runs, as long as he hits about 260, as long as he hits right-handed pitching well. And then you have Nito, who surprisingly doesn't have a lot of power. Man, might get you on a great year, 5 home runs, right? However, he had a lot of clutch hits and hit left-handed pitching well enough that I'm satisfied with having him as a platoon for left-handed pitching. Even he's on the roster for 2 more years with the contract. Might be flipped next year to create space for Alvarez. Now, the Navarez signing was more so of a mentorship for Alvarez because they're both Venezuelan, they're both countrymen, they both speak the same language, and he might be able to show him how to frame a lot better, how to control his pitching staff, because Alvarez right now he just cannot be our catcher. Reason why? Verlander, Scherzer, and the language barrier for Singer, even though Navarez also will have a language barrier and Nito will have a language barrier. The thing is, they're veteran catchers, and you would feel more confident with a 30-something-year-old catcher than a 20-year-old catcher handling Kodai Singer. Quintana and Carrasco, they're fine. They'll probably help the kid. However, those 3 people I just named, you need to have a veteran catcher that knows what they're doing in there to deal with these type of alphas, okay? So, our lineup is going to look like this. I just went through 1 through 9. Nemo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso. Let's say Vogelback, Pham, platoon at 5th. McNeil 6. This lengthens lineup. Escobar, Beatty, platoon 7th. Canna, Pham, platoon 8. And Navarez, Nito, platoon 9th. Now, the question of this video, was Pham enough? The way this team is constructed, even though wasn't a lot of changes to the lineup compared to last year, 3 things happened this offseason. We re-signed Vogelback, right? Of course, we re-signed Nemo. But we re-signed Vogelback, which we only had for half a season last year. Now we'll have him for a full season, where we don't have the J.D. Davises, who's playing DH, or the Robinson Canoes, who's playing DH, that's striking out, hitting weak ground balls. We'll have Vogelback for a whole season. This automatically improves your DH position. We're also going to have Pham in a platoon with either left field or DH. And we're going to have Navarez, who, trust me, anything's better than James McCann. So that's automatically a plus. We automatically improved our lineup out of subtracting McCann out of the lineup, who was a weak ground ball to shortstop machine every at-bat or strikeout. So my question, we had a top 5 lineup last year, a top 5 offense, top 5 on hits, getting on base. Of course, we didn't have the power, and that's what we needed to improve on. What we thought we got out of the signing of Carrera was a 22, 25 home run type of guy, hitter, that batted around 280, potentially 290 on a good year, in the All-Star season. That got you 120 to 130, maybe 140 games if healthy, right? But only drove in 65, 68 to 80 runs. What we got instead now, from the DH position, which we failed miserably at last year, is a platoon that could get us over 30 home runs. Is a platoon that could get us over 120 RBIs, right? But battle around the 250 range. What we got in left field now is a platoon that could get us 25, close to 30 home runs. What we got out of the catching position now is at least, because we didn't even have 10 home runs at the catching position last year, but now we're going to get at least 10 home runs now, right? So believe it or not, we improved our power. If everybody stays healthy, we improved our power a lot more than people believe or see in the catching position, left field, and DH position by leaps and bounds. Of course, Carrera was going to go to third base, and potentially not. It would have been a wash because Escobar got 20 home runs. Carrera got about 22, 23 in that range. So he only had 3 more home runs than what we would have got at the third base. So how much power was actually going to improve by the signing of Carrera? compared to what we end up getting, because we're going to get over 20-something home runs, close to 30 with Platoon, Escobar, and Beatty, right? So, believe it or not, the question was Tommy Pham enough? I believe so. I believe we improved our power, believe it or not. We're going to improve our power more. I believe this lineup will get 20 more home runs than we got last year. We roughly got in the lower half, but we will get 20 more home runs, I believe, with this lineup. If everybody hit what they're supposed to hit, we could potentially get 20 more home runs out of this team this year. If you agree with me, please let me know. So I just want to keep this video more so at what our lineup would look like, what we'll get out of this lineup, and what this lineup could be. And I just want to intrigue you with the question, was Tommy Pham enough as far as our last piece to our offense? Now, you can't talk about the offense and the lineup without talking about the bench. The bench is going to look something like this. Probably a 4-man bench, because you want to carry more arms in the bullpen, the way baseball is set up now with the DH in the National League. So we're going to have a 4-man bench, predominantly Nido at catcher. Guillorme, I feel we got to keep him. He can play anywhere in the infield first. Tommy Pham's our 4 outfielder / DH. I'm not a fan of keeping Darren Ruff. We got to get him off this team by hook or by crook. We got to get him off somehow, some way. I believe Beatty, because he could play left field too. He could put two. And I believed if we had kept Carrera, Beatty's position would have been left field with Connor to platoon, and potentially maybe even DH a little bit. And Vogelbach would have been relegated to bench more, because you got to play Beatty. I believe Beatty could make the opening day roster and be that potential full-time third baseman, which might relegate Escobar to the bench. And Escobar could play multiple infield positions, and he's a switch hitter. And he could be a full-time DH. So that, I feel, the bench would come to, and I believe that's a strong bench than what we had for the last few years. Now we got to talk about our reserves down in the minor league and what else we could have. We have Ventos. We have Khalil Lee, who I'm tired of. Doesn't wow me. We have LaCastro, the speedster who would take over for Terrence Gore, right? What else we have down there? We signed him. We have Alvarez, who's going to be down there, of course, but he needs to get his catching reps before he takes over at the catching position. And I see that later on in the season to the following year. We have Mauricio should be playing AAA this year. We have him in the wings right here. He could slot in at some point and play some type of position in this team. I believe they should give him an outfielder glove and put him one in the corners. He could potentially be our left fielder, because Connor's last year in his contract, and Pham only signed a 1-year contract. We need a left fielder in another year or so. His bat could play well in left field. I think it would translate well as far as the left fielder. We have a lot of potential down there that we're fine if somebody's out in the DL. We're fine in a pinch. So the question was Pham enough? I believe so. I believe we was a 101-win team. I believe we have the best manager that's available to make these moves and make sure that, all right, such and such plays now, when such and such sits, and vice versa, and plays them at the right time, pinch hits at the right time. I believe this will work perfectly for him, and I believe there's nothing more that we could potentially do. We're not trading the prospects. We're not getting another bat. We're not paying for Brian Reynolds. We're not overpaying that. We could wait till next year. We got a lot of money coming off the books. We got Machado. We got Tani. We go hard for those. If we at least land one, if not two of them, we're fine going forward. Devers is no longer an option. It's totally fine. I believe this team is ready to go, besides the pitching, which I'll talk about next video. All right? Just want to leave you with that. Food for thought. Is Tommy Pham enough? I believe so. I believe he made a good move with that, a very underrated move. Of course, I was talking about in the last video, Jordan Jerson, Profar, Yuli Guerrero, Adam Duvall. Adam Duvall is too swing and miss. I know Pham is not young no more. He's not 29. He's 35. He strikes out more. Doesn't hit for average. Doesn't hit 290 no more. Hits 250. But the guy plays on winning teams. He plays in St. Louis, played in San Diego when it's Slam Diego and is winning. And I think they made the playoffs. He played in the World Series with Tampa Bay. I know he has a bad reputation ever since the Jock Peterson slap. I know he has a bad reputation after that interview he did in the offseason last year when he signed with Cincinnati and he said he's only there to pad his numbers and then move on and sign a contract. But what do you expect the guy to say? He's on the Cincinnati Reds, who was expected to be in last place and did perform the way they were supposed to perform. He wasn't there to help that team turn around and win because they wasn't going to do it. It wasn't going to happen because of ownership. So I like brutal honesty. Sometimes is preferred, sometimes better. And the fact that he was brutally honest, I respect that more. Tommy Pham proved that he's been on winning teams in his past and looked like he likes to win. From what was heard, and I think it was Andy Martino that tweeted it, he's beloved in the locker room, but hated outside the locker room by the media and other teams that he plays against, which is understandable, and a lot of players are like that. So it's Tommy Pham being Tommy Pham, and I think he's in a good situation. I think he knows what situation he's in. He's going to platoon. I think he's ready for that. I think he's able and capable of doing that. So by all means, if he signed him for this, I'm ready to go. I think he's good. I think we're good, and I think we're going to pretty much have a good season, and I'm pretty content with the way this lineup's going to look. All right? If you agree with me, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment below. If you disagree with me, also leave a comment below and still like, subscribe, and share. And definitely let me know why you disagree. And what could we do that's better than that? Please come up with a solution. That's always best than criticizing that my thoughts don't make sense. I get it. It's not going to be, everybody's not going to agree with you, but if you disagree, definitely come up with a solution for me, and then maybe we could agree to disagree, or it could sway my thoughts, and I'll definitely let you know in the next video. All right? I'm your host of the Morning Beer Podcast, Devereaux Davis. Talk to you later. Peace.